Hello, everyone, and welcome back from the break. I think the first session set the stage nicely for our next guest and discussion topic on how a gene therapy CDMO has managed to sustain growth in an unusually challenging environment. My name is Betty Wu, and I'm the Vice President and General Manager for Cell and Gene Therapy at Thermo Fisher Scientific. The business I lead leverages our total company capabilities in cell and gene therapy to help solve customer challenges in this rapidly evolving field. With customers like Viralgen, our shared vision is to increase the accessibility of these life-saving therapies to patients. Today, it's my pleasure to welcome Javier Garcia Cogorro, CEO of Viralgen, an industry-leading CDMO specializing in the production of AAV viral vectors. Based in Spain, Javier is an entrepreneur and investor with more than 35 years of experience in healthcare and the biopharmaceutical industry. He's also president and founder of Columbia Venture Partners and co-founder of Columbia Children's Foundation. Now, I'll let Javier share more details on himself and Viralgen, but I hope to also get a sense of him as a person and how he finds the time to recharge and gain energy and inspiration for the wonderful work he does. But first, let me tee up a little on Viralgen. This CDMO was formed in 2017 in response to the unmet need for the manufacturing of gene therapies. And the Viralgen team brings decades of technology and drug development experience to support best-in-class service offerings to the gene therapy market. In this discussion, Javier will share practical learnings and insights on how Viralgen navigated through the pandemic, how he and his organization were able to sustain operations over the past 24 months, and equally important, the lasting changes that will shape Viralgen's growth strategy in the future. With that, a very warm welcome to Javier Garcia.
Thank you, Betty. It's my pleasure to be here. Glad to be here with all of you today.
Thanks, Javier. We're looking forward to hearing your outlook on the growth and success as a CDMO. Can we start by you telling us a little bit about yourself and Viralgen?
Okay, yes, for sure. Let me start with my story. I've been in this industry for more than 35 years. I started my way in Eli Lilly many years ago, where I did a number of things from information technology to sales marketing and business development. At 2012, I left Lilly and I created my own business. And the business was really related to creating value around finding opportunities in the biotech sector and to develop those properly. With that idea, I started the Columbia Venture Partners that was focused on two main areas that at the time we saw my partner and myself that were very critical for the business was around new therapeutics that were coming from universities and were really going to change the way medicine was going to be seen in the future. And the second, but very important, we realized that the product and the production were very close. So we were seeing that more and more, all these technologies, all these advances really require a totally different approach in manufacturing. So we decided to invest in parallel in manufacturing. And that was very unique at the time because very few people were looking at manufacturing in the traditional venture capital world. They were more thinking, let's work on therapies, let's work on biomarkers, let's work on other tools, but other VCs were specialized in manufacturing, but they were not specialized in therapies. So we were one of the few ones in Europe who really embraced both things. And I think that was a key factor for us of success. So in that journey of really understanding technologies, we invested in a number of gene therapy applications, in a number of gene therapy fields. And we happened to meet Dr. Jude Samulski early in 2015 and understood much better how the technology was working and all his contributions to science that were related to the therapies, but also related to how these therapies could be delivered to customers, to patients in particular, through manufacturing. So with conversations with him and his team, we realized that in the future, there was going to be a big gap in terms of manufacturing capacity and capabilities to really make these technologies be accessible to people. And that's the origin of Viralgen in 2017. We decided to create Viralgen because as Bio, Jud Samurski and Sheila Mihal really had a big and rich portfolio of solutions, but we were lacking the manufacturing capacity. But the idea at the time was not to only to manufacturing for a company portfolio, but to doing manufacturing across the board, to be sharing that with other groups. And that's how Viralgen was created as a joint venture between Asbio and Columbus Venture Partners, with the idea of becoming a reference CDMO in the field. We started in San Sebastian almost 5 years ago with 5 people and a lab. And right now we are 350 people, and we have grown tremendously. And we have had a very, very interesting journey in which we decided to start very slow, focusing on R&D batches and critical batches. And that was our first approach. Let's go and solve the problem of scalability from the lab into toxicology batches, clinical batches. Let's understand how we can really transfer the technology from Asmio, Protein, how we can build a team that can really embrace that. And that's how we spent the first 2 years of this project. Tech transfer was successful. We were able to validate and accredit the first room. We accredited 2 more rooms. And in 2019, we decided that it was time to start going beyond. And many customers at the time that we had start asking us, okay, how do you go, what are you going to do whenever we go into phase 3 and commercial? How are we going to support the projects? And we start planning the commercial manufacturing facility. So 2019 was the planning year for that. Then 2020 came, the pandemic started hitting, and here we are with a big project. And the pandemic, we were very, very lucky that we were able to work for all the time on the pandemic. And we were able to work thanks to the commitment of the employees, thanks to the flexibility of the government, thinking that, well, this is something that is going to be important for society and we cannot slow down those things. So we were able to work, and in 16 months, we went from plain field lot here in San Sebastian into a full commercial manufacturing built and ready to be validated. So that was a magnificent effort from everybody. And where we are right now is we are in the process of getting the accreditation for the first module, and we're going to have the accreditation by the end of this year. We'll have accreditation for the 3 first 2,000-liter suites, and from that, at that time, we will have then the ability to do from 2-liter run into 2,000-liter run and scale all these things. So when I look at this business, hindsight, and I look at the whole thing, the amount of work has been phenomenal, but we come back to the origin and the vision that we have at the time. We said, well, you bring the right technology, you bring the right people, and you bring the right support from the local community, you have a success story. The thing that you need to do in order to make this thing happen is to rely on the knowledge that you're going to build and how this knowledge can be applicable to all the different stages of the project, and also working with customers to really learn how to solve the problem. So it's a cultural change. At the same time, you bring customers, you have to start understanding how you're going to translate to them how this technology can work for them, and also they need to tell you what are the needs so you can marry those things. So it's a very interesting process, and I can go in more detail with some examples of the evolution, because at the beginning everybody wants vector. I want vector. I want prep for my animal models. I want to have production for my phase 1 trial. But in reality, that need is going to be more complex. It's going to be much more comprehensive. It's not the product, it's the knowledge, and it's the ability to really support a registration process that is important for customers. And that's what we are focusing right now.
So incredibly interesting genesis to the company, and the journey that you've been on is just incredible. Can we talk a little bit more about the challenges and opportunities the pandemic has created for Viralgen, and more broadly speaking for the CDMO industry? Specifically, perhaps, which ones do you anticipate will have the more lasting impact to your business?
Well, the pandemic has shown to us very, very many lessons, and some of them that probably we are still capturing and trying to understand. As I said before, we were building the facility during the pandemic, but it's quite unique. The second thing that has happened is many customers were couldn't interact face to face with us. And moving from a world where the interaction happened face to face into a world that the interaction didn't happen at all and suddenly start happening through Zoom and through video, it was a phenomenal challenge. And we were ready to take that. And this is one of the things that the pandemic has helped us, that also has put ourselves closer to customers. Right now, when the pandemic is disappearing, we are coming back to a more normal life. We have to adapt to this new reality without losing some of the value of the digital interaction that we are having. But in itself, it created challenges, and we have to adapt that ourselves. So we have to start sharing who we were through video, through online communication, through different interactions, and sometimes the missing of the face-to-face interaction, the human touch, really create discrepancies and disconnections in the relationship that sooner or later you have to fix and you have to address. So this is one of the elements that I think the pandemic has been a big impact. The second part that I would say that has happened during this time is all the supply chain issues has changed the way that the world is working. We used to live in what I would call a world of abundance. So we could ask for anything and everything was shipped to us, and we could receive enough materials, not only in the companies like Viralgen, but even at our homes, and we were able to access those things. Right now, supply chain has totally changed in the world, and we have to adapt ourselves. Both companies like Thermo, who are suppliers, and companies like us who are receiving those things, and we have to really be ready to understand how we're going to live through a different time. In this market of AAV, that's what we do. The other component that some of the raw materials is coming from plasmid, and those plasmids need to be ready at the time. Again, all this combination of when things are ready for doing those different things are important, and they never happened at the time during the pandemic. On top of that, we saw a slowdown in clinical trials. Recruiting of clinical trials was not a priority. The priority was finding a vaccine. People were scared to go to hospitals. So we saw across all the fields and across all fields in the industry a huge slowdown of clinical trials. That means that some productions that were planned to happen may not happen at the time, may have to be delayed. So there was a lot of adjustment to the teams and the different organizations. So I think that the challenge has been magnificent. The question right now for me is more, what did we learn around that, and how we're going to get out of that in a world that we can come back to a normal operation, but with the learnings of what happened to us over the last 2 years, that we tend to forget what happened, but we tend to remember the anecdotes, but I think it's very important to learn the lessons, in particular around the interaction, how to address customer needs in remote, and how to live in a world where things are going to continue being mixed. What's going to happen with supply chain and how we're going to manage the supply chain in the future. And also important is how companies and customers are going to start looking at the clinical trials, at the development, in the light of something that is happening right now that is very, very disturbing. It's a market that is, it seems like it's not looking into biotech as strong as it was looking years ago. So there is also a change in the market through the high inflation, the war in Ukraine, and all these things that is just putting some of the valuations of the companies in the market lower. So that's going to be another challenge in the market that we have to really understand how to do, because it may need that there's going to be some reprioritization and some aspects of the business that need to be thought differently. So we as a CDMO are really, really looking into those things, but also we are really pretty carefully working with our customers to see how can we be the best option for them in times where these challenges are real for all them, and eventually it hits us also in our ability to serve them.
Thank you. So if I may, you observed some changes due to the pandemic in the way in which you engage with your customer base, and I think that's common to the industry. That's a real challenge, and we've changed as a consequence of it. And then there were also some internal challenges that you saw with respect to supply chain, trial patient recruitment for clinical trials. So there was a lot of different external and internal factors and challenges that you had to overcome. I'm wondering if you could talk a little bit more about some of the bottlenecks associated with the changing regulatory landscape. I think Scott, Gottlieb had talked earlier on in the program, and perhaps we can touch on some of that regulatory influence here due to the pandemic.
Yeah. Well, the other thing that is happening at the same time that the customers are evolving their products through the agencies is that the regulatory expectations are going higher, as always happens with new technologies. It happens with monoclonal antibodies years ago. It's going to happen right now with this technology, and it's going to happen with mRNAs for things outside COVID, because there is a lot of unknowns in this technology, and the regulatory bodies are really defining how safety is going to be measured, how we can ensure that the products really reach a standard that is the required one. And the conversation that we had 2 years ago with agencies, or the feedback received from 2 years ago from agencies is changing dramatically now, because there is new expectations, new ways of looking at the reality of how to develop this drug. So what is coming is a constant conversation between sponsors and the agency, and understanding what are those new regulatory expectations that people are going to have. And because I said before, product and process are so close in this one, in advanced therapies, in particular in gene therapy, the importance of the CMC packages is absolutely paramount. We are seeing a totally different set of expectations coming from customers and coming from regulators than we saw 2 years ago. And as more customers also are moving from phase 1 proof of concept into phase 3 and commercial, those expectations are going higher. So I don't think we should be afraid of that. I think it's a great opportunity, but it's a great opportunity also to work together and to redefine what are these baseline of regulatory expectations that we are going to have, what are the new essays that we need to run, what are the new baselines that we need to have. So that's open for an interesting field about R&D in the regulatory aspect of the development of assays. So I will give you an example. Potency assays is one of the elements that are really important for many customers and for the agency. How we're going to get a potency assay that is meaningful, that can be validated, because it's going to be the fundamental part for the dose. So this is an evolving conversation that is going to really put a lot of pressure on sponsors and us to work together on defining new methods that can be commonly accepted to really go into these potency assays in a way that years ago, 2 or 3 years ago, we didn't have to be very concerned on that, because we were still exploring different methods. But right now, we have to go to the world with different lenses. And I think that's a very important area for us to discuss. And an area that is going to require tremendous partnership between sponsors and CDMOs to really understand what are the expectations, and also how we can better bring our experience and our resources to solve the particular problems, the particular questions that they are getting from regulators. And the more we plan, the more we work on that, the better. So bottom line, Betty, this is not going to be the traditional, you give me something, I produce to you, and here's the product. Is a partnership that is going to combine manufacturing, obviously, as the process that we produce product, but a lot of R&D and a lot of conversation with customers to really share our information, share how we're going to get to those details, and those being part of the submission to the agency. We have a big advantage in our way of doing business in AAV because we have a common process. So we have created years ago a drug master file that can be a reference for everybody. I think we have to go one step beyond that. That really helped a lot in the last several years. But now moving forward, this drug master file needs to be probably more complete. We need to add more things to that, in particular, following customer expectations around how they want to present their product in front of the regulators. So more and more, and I think this is natural, many of these sponsors, many of these customers are really getting closer to the market, and the expectations from CDMOs are different. So that's when we created Viralgen Commercial, we had that in mind. So that's our challenge for the next couple of years to really transition from being a CDMO who was doing clinical stuff to do a CDMO who's doing phase 3 and commercial stuff in the way that the regulators are expecting, in the way that can be delivered to patients with the quality and cost that everybody is expecting.
Wonderful insights. I know that there are also challenges that we see on the horizon with respect to harmonization of global regulatory requirements. So, how we practice in Spain versus, the FDA and some of the practices within the United States are always presenting some challenges until the industry settles down a bit. But I also look forward to better harmonization of some of the regulatory requirements in the future.
Absolutely, that's going to be very important, no matter what, because but this has been in all my time in the industry always an issue in terms of how the agencies are working together. I think is much better than years ago, but still every time there is a new modality, we're coming back to a step in which who's going to lead that and who's going to follow, and how agencies can react together and harmonize is very important. But right now, I don't think we are in that ideal situation where the harmonization is global. I don't think that's still there, but we are getting closer, but it's going to take more work.
That's right. That's right. So maybe we could broaden it a little bit, within the current global situation and extending from the pandemic to the Russia-Ukraine conflict that I think you alluded to a little earlier. What are the key areas of uncertainty for gene therapy, again, the industry at large, and what concerns you the most?
Well, the world is going through tremendous change with the pandemic. We're very happy that we found a vaccine, and people need to understand that the fact that we found a vaccine, and companies and scientists created a vaccine, and companies were able to manufacture billions of that, is a not remarkable effort, but historical effort. And once I thought that we were already out of that, and people were going to look at the industry as an industry who was going to really change the dynamic of the pharmaceutical and the way drugs have been developed and the way we are going to treat diseases. We have seen the war of Ukraine and some of the inflation and some of the things that are really shaking the market quite a lot. I've been shocked to see that many of the companies who went public last year in the NASDAQ are, I would say, a huge percentage of those are really trading below the entry point in the NASDAQ. So that's a signal that the market is weak, and some companies are really trading lower than the cash they have in hand. So this is a worrisome signal for companies and ideas that are coming from entrepreneurs, these investors, private equity, that they really want to drive this innovation forward. So what I think it worries me is two things: is companies doing trade-offs that will be difficult in the light of the situation that we have, and also investors who may not be patient with the sector. And I think we need both. We need ideas to flow, we need innovation to flow, we need capital, and there's enough capital in the world, but we need the capital to flow in this sector. But we need investors to be patient. We need investors to be patient with this, because nothing is simple in this drug development process. People can tell you that this new technology will be much better than before. We're going to get much more advances, but at the end of the day, the ABC of drug development is the same. The process needs to be robust. The unknowns are big. We know human biology better, but still we don't know everything. So we are in evolution. So what I would call this situation right now, we are in, to put a similarity with the computer world, we are kind of in the era of Windows 3.1, and ready to go to the next version of Windows, because these technologies in itself are not the end of the story. They are evolution. The reason why we could have new technologies 10 years from now is because we have the current technologies right now. So we are starting with a gene therapy, we have mRNAs, we are going to gene editing, we are going to go into non-viral, we're going to see all kind of things of RNA reprogramming. A lot of new technologies coming, but if we miss a step in the development and if we miss an inflection point, we may be put at jeopardy the rest of the evolution of this. And I think that's what worries me at this point, is that the journey to really cure diseases like Alzheimer's and Parkinson's and cardiac heart failure, things that are really important diseases in the world, really depends heavily on the investment on these advanced therapies. And if we don't see that, if we see a big period of capital not flowing to companies, people not being able to move things from the lab into the market because there is difficulties to finance those companies, we are going to pay the price as society. So I think that's my major concern, that that evolution is very important. And it's like everything, you need time to evolve, and you need the resources to evolve. And if you tell me what worries me, not as a CEO of Viralgen, because I think that we have a number of customers, we have projects, but it's more as a society. I think technology needs to evolve and we need to have bigger aspirations, but that means good working plans and good capital to really make those things happen. And my worry is right now, we have a risk of losing focus a little bit and making the market a little bit slow at a time that we need those ideas to progress.
Yeah, so great segue to maybe my next question, which is how do you see your participation as a CDMO in the gene therapy market changing in the next 3 to 5 years? Do you think that gene therapy will continue to rely mainly on AAV vectors, or do you see a change to non-viral? So just trying to get a sense of key changes that you're anticipating.
Well, whoever thinks that the technology they're using is going to stay forever hasn't learned that lesson from history. So we know that AAV is maybe a component, but it's not the only component in this market. We are seeing that right now. But I would say that the business of CDMO for advanced therapies, the business of CDMO for AAVs, is a business based on knowledge. It's a business based on R&D. So when I look at the business of Viralgen, the main aspect of our business is not the production. The main aspect of our business is the R&D that goes around the production. So what we are doing as we speak, and we are doing all the time, is investing in R&D, investing in, first, ways to improve the process. Second, ways to really reach out to other modalities with AAVs, and ways to also bring other things to the table. So in my view, this is the role that innovators need to do. The only way to not to be obsolete is to innovate. And if we don't innovate, we're going to be obsolete. So we can have a lot of success today and the next 5 years, but if the market changes in the next 5 years, we'll be in trouble. So that's the discussion that we are having constantly internally and with our shareholders, with Bayer, and also with AskBio, that innovation is absolutely key. However, while this time comes, we need to innovate also in where we serve our customers. And what we are looking right now is in providing the right information for those CMC packages, and we are going to be much more aggressive in how to become better prepared to have the regulatory conversations. We believe that that's the way to make the future better. So the future of AAV in particular depends heavily on how many products get to the market using AAV. So our role in that is fundamental, and we're going to do what it takes to really partner with companies and to promote and help them to get to the market faster. Faster in the means of time, but faster in the means of being more prepared, and faster in the way of really having more predictable cost of goods, more predictable ways to really address the market when things goes there. Because right now, the reality is there is very few products approved for AAVs right now, but there may be more in the future. So the future of the modality is going to depend heavily on the success of these new products coming into the market.
Right, and some of those products include potentially lipid nanoparticles or maybe exosomes or, other technologies. And I'm wondering, what technology hurdles are you seeing currently within Viralgen's effort to advance gene therapy forward?
Well, we know that for our field to evolve and to evolve better, we need to have new plasmids, plasmid that has better functionality. We are working on that through our partnership with Touchlight AAV. We have to do things related to new cell lines that are really helping us to get better yields. We need to really also start looking at how we can use AAVs to do some things around gene editing in a smart way. We are working also on CAR Ts. So we all have all these things that we are working in parallel, and also we are looking in what other technologies are going to come in the market that we may have to transition to from AAV to be part of this process evolution. So we have the roadmap already, and we have those things working on. What is important is, as I said before, is that you have to have a very good mindset around R&D, that you almost look yourself as you will be obsolete in the next 5 years. What are you going to do? Looking at the market is very important, and really exploring R&D and exploring new technologies, licensing new technologies is very useful. And we have that mindset, and we have that roadmap already in place. But as I said, for the next 3 years, what our customers are going to see are going to be services that are going to help them to be better prepared to address the commercial conversation, the phase 3 conversation. And if we identify new technologies that can really make them more suitable in the AAV field or evolving from the AAV field, we'll be ready for that, because at the end of the day, it's a question of Biotech came as a combination of technology and right people. Again, we have the right people. The technology is just a question of finding the right technology and doing the transition. When that transition will happen, time will tell. But we believe there's going to be an evolution. And also some technologies will coexist. So we have seen mRNAs being a field of interest, nanoparticles and LNPs with non-viral is going to be important. At the end of the day, as I said before, it's an evolution. We need to be part of that evolution. We are not going to be binary, everything or nothing. And we have to be also finding our space. And we are finding our space because we are doing things in different spaces at this point with different customers.
Great. Well, let's pivot to customers. In your experience in working with customers, what do you think are their most urgent needs, and how do they work with you effectively?
Well, our customers really come from different angles. I'd say it depends. So you have the customer who come out of a lab that really has a great idea, a great project, and they need to really go into a let me see if this works, or let me see if I can raise capital to get to the next stage. That customer has a need that is very particular. The need is, I need to prove something very quick. I need to know that works, because time is essential for me to go to the next stage. So those customers are early stage customers who are coming as a spin out of universities and development labs. And these customers really can come to us and say, how can you partner with us? Because then we have the ability from a small 2-liter run to predict what's going to happen into a 2,000-liter run. And we can show them this is what you're going to see, but we're going to give you what you need at this point. That's this ability to really understand what's going to happen. This is one type of customers. There are customers who are coming to us with the idea, okay, I'm going to go into a clinical trial, but I need to know if really I can really make this clinical trial work, and how I need to prove that it's going to be economically viable, and also I need to do a lot of material, and can you do that for me? Well, that's a second type of customer, and we need to serve them well. And then you have customers who are evolving more into, I need to go now into a phase 3, I need to do comparability, I need to do understanding how I'm going to present this in front of the FDA or the EMA. I need to understand how the package of information is going to be comprehensive and strong, so I can really have a conversation. And they need different things. So I would say every customer will need different things at the stage of development, and we need to really understand how we're going to solve all of them better. At the end of the day, the components of R&D and the components of information is absolutely key. And if you look at Viralgen, we are not only a manufacturing shop that can create using protein a great yield of performance in terms of production, but we are a manufacturing group that is doing development and R&D that also can produce information for you that can really benefit your submission, because we do the same process across all the products. So when we do something with, for instance, AAV9, we do a lot of AAV9. So we really have a lot of experience around AAV9. So when we present your package, we can really base our information on all the experience we have AAV9 in our process, because the process is the same. If you are trying to do a comparability study, we can really help you from the 2-liter run into the 2,000-liter run, and we can really help you with the information that is needed. So I think that we offer a number of things, and each customer obviously is going to customize those needs in particular, taking advantage of our process. And also we are going to be pretty open to help the customers to see how our information, our data can really suit their needs in terms of preparation for the submission to the agencies. So that's what I think we can do, and we can do the best. And this is what I think is going to differentiate us. However, this is going to be different from different customers, because they are going to be at different stage, every of them, and they need to understand that. But when someone comes to us, we want to project where do you want to be in 3 years, what do you want to be in 5 years, and what are the present needs that you have, and how you are planning to go there. And we can partner with them in that regard.
Yes, perhaps irrespective of where they are in their journey, the level of partnership and relationship building that you have with your customers is really going to be, I think, a driving force for Viralgen. And I'm wondering how you specifically define success with your customers.
Well, let me give you an example of how we define success. We do something very unique also in Viralgen. As I said, we are very committed to the success of customers, but our customer at the end is the patient. It's the patient who takes the therapy that we produce. One thing we are doing, and we are partnering with Columbus Venture Partners, there are a number of products or opportunities in the market that there is no commercial interest. There is no commercial opportunity for them. Nobody will invest money because there is no money to be made. And they are coming from patient associations, they are coming from research groups, and these are really using technologies like the AAV that really are suitable to solve. So you are able to solve a problem for Duchenne or for Pompe or for other diseases. You can sort out the same problem for juvenile Parkinson, for Niemann-Pick A, for SPG50, for many diseases who the number of people, the number of kids in the world are very small. So for us, success is also being able to bring products to these people, bring products to these organizations that are really not capable of that because nobody's going to put the money. So what we do is we dedicate our efforts to provide access and to provide preps for those organizations who we're never going to have the financial means to do those things, but they have the brain power, and they have the motivation, and they have the ability to really change the world through what they do with patients. So, for instance, we are working very closely on the ADC community. We are working very closely on SPG50. So we have already products that we are putting in the hands of the customers that we don't make a profit for them, but we are making an impact. And for us, success is impact. Success is impact we have in the people in the community. Success is impact we have in those kids. Because at the end of the day, customers are the final customers are the patients, and we want to make sure that the people at Viralgen understand that, and that's why we go into that journey of saying we're going to help people also where we don't have any economic return. It doesn't matter to us, but what it matters is the impact that we do, and that's I think that's very important for us to really continue that. So back to your question, how success to the customers is measured in impact on patients, and we have in our town hall here every now and again patients and kids with their families coming after they've been treated, or kids who are about to be treated, or kids that will never be treated because the solution will never come on time for them. Because what I want in all the employees of Viralgen to know is that they have a bigger responsibility than just producing. They have a responsibility because the life of many people, the hope of many people is in their hands. And that's what I think is going to differentiate CDMOs in the future from those who are just turning products into those that are really helping others to be successful, in particular patients to save their lives. Because fortunately, the drugs that we produce, the products that we do, are saving people's lives. Unfortunately, we cannot save as many as possible, as many as we can, because again, it takes time. There are many diseases, but we have to take very big pride in the things that we do right and the things that we do that really have an impact on people.
Great examples of really how you're fulfilling your mission to increase the accessibility of these gene therapies to patients. So I applaud your efforts there. You know, we all know that customers are constantly evolving, technology is evolving. How do you plan and adapt your organization to new requests and new changes in the marketplace?
Well, it's as I said before, the only way to adapt to changes in the market is to be part of those changes and to do R&D yourself and to be very connected with the R&D world on see what's coming and what's going to be that technology that can put you out of the market, or what's the technology that really can make you stronger in the market. So we have access to new developments. We are working with the different R&D groups in ASBio. We apply all the R&D that comes from there. We are also connecting with other research groups. We are doing our best to understand what's going to come down the line, new promoters, new capsids, new plasmids, new cell lines. All these things are under our radar, and we are looking into those, and we are willing to engage with organizations to see how these things can improve the way the business is done. Because keep in mind that at the end of the day, the success of what we do is going to come from two aspects: quality and performance. Quality of the product and performance of the product in the market. Meaning, are we really doing the things that we need to do in terms of changing that particular disease? And also, it's about cost. Are we doing that at a cost that is reasonable? Because at the end of the day, imagine for a moment that we find a solution for Parkinson's or for Alzheimer's, but we say, well, the manufacturing of this is going to be around $2 million a piece. Well, it won't work. It's the same that with the vaccines in COVID. The vaccine in COVID, the cost of goods was a real issue at the beginning and has to be improved. So I think when the market really finds the motivation to make things happen, the technology will come and people need to bring those pieces together. So this is not dissimilar to us. So the more customers we are getting commercial, the more we need to help them how to really partner with them in that cost of goods, because it's quality and performance. And those are the two things that we need to be very, very vigilant. And I think that's important. However, when you bring new technologies, you can really both increase quality, but it may take some time because you have to reduce some of the essays and some of the things that to make that mainstream. But also you can really introduce new technology to be much more efficient and really gain on that performance part. So R&D need to happen. If you don't do R&D, you're not part of the future. The future will, you'll find your future by serendipity, but you have to be attached to some R&D component that really allow you to really find the future yourself. And I think that's fundamental for a CDMO.
So let me touch on our partnership. So between Viralgen and Thermo Fisher Scientific, I'd like to understand how partners like us can most effectively work with CDMOs to achieve increased heights of accomplishment in quality and in performance, and really move the industry forward, even toward more standardization of how we create and manufacture gene therapies.
Well, I would say Thermo Fisher has been a great partner from the beginning, and I would also define that in stages. You were a great partner when we started the business and here in San Sebastian, and very few people knew where San Sebastian was. And you were able to come very early and say, "We'll help you. We'll provide the equipment and we'll provide what's needed for you to be successful." And that's what I think is the early stage of the partnership. So you really saw the opportunity on us. We saw the need to have someone that we trust, and we build that. But I would say that's the easy partnership. The most difficult partnership when you start going into growth and bigger opportunities, but also with that come bigger problems and come different discussions that we need to have. And I think in the case of Thermo in particular, the whole situation with supply chain has become a real issue, a real bottleneck. And I think we have been able to navigate that with a very much openness in terms of how we communicate it, and also how we stretch to you what are the needs that we have. You stretch to us, these are the issues we are facing, and let's work together on those, and let's really find a solution. To your point, I think there are ways to get out of this. I wouldn't like to be in this situation forever, in which we are like driving a car and not knowing when you're going to be run out of gas, but at the end of the day, you find a solution. I think the world needs to evolve from this level of we like to have a huge portfolio of products into something more standard, because it will be in everybody's interest. We are happy to do our part to make sure that you also as a provider of very important materials, very important elements, that they are not just disposable things, they are essential to the process. We can help you to be more successful. We can help you to plan better. We can help you to reduce the number of code items in your warehouse, so you can use, instead of 10,000, you can use 2,000 items. And we'll be happy to work with that. I think the world is going to a much more standardization and this world of abundance, and we have to be different, because you use one component for you that is different than the company be using a different component is over. But what I appreciate more around the partnership, because the products are a given, so people, if you don't bring the right products, you are out of the picture. But many companies bring similar products, but I think what differentiates partners from others is the attitude to problems, is the ability to have conversations, is the ability to understand and to have the empathy around how we're going to solve different things. And I believe strongly that the difference is made by people and not by companies. And we found in Thermo Fisher the people who are ready to listen, even in tough situations. We are able to escalate things, and we are able to have conversations. For instance, I'll give you an example. This week, Dr. Yusamurski was in Madrid. He received an award for the work he has done with the foundation and for the science he has been doing. And he gave a talk in Madrid. So there was a meeting from the commercial team from Thermo, the European team in Madrid. So I sent them an invitation, and the whole team that was in Madrid came to listen to the presentation. So that means a lot to us, but also it showed us the level of commitment, the level of partnership that Thermo is willing to put with us, because people could be visiting Madrid at 7 o'clock and doing other things, but they decided to come to the meeting. And from the salespeople, the commercial people in Europe to the senior vice president who was in Madrid, they all were in the conference, and they all were, actually there's a picture running around with all of us together. But for me, that's the difference, that you have the people who are willing to appreciate what we have done. You are part of this project from the beginning, because you saw that started from where we were a small shop, and now we are a much bigger place, and we really appreciate that. And I think it's important that we continue that conversation. But it's not only about products; it's about how people are willing to start a conversation at a different level that approach you what are important. And for us and for you, what we have in mind is the patient, and that's very critical. You've been also instrumental in some of the things we have been doing with our foundation in terms of really raising the awareness of people, saying what can we do to make sure that people know that there are people that need help. Well, we are counting on you on doing that. So I think we share some things that are common ground for us to grow, and that's the basic of the partnership.
Yeah, Javier, customers are at the heart of everything that we do. So it's gratifying to hear that, we're bought into your success, and we're curious to learn more about your success. So thank you for sharing that example. As we close out our time here today, I'd like to maybe hear your reflections on your 5-year-long journey, that you've had with Viralgen. You've obviously had a longer history with the foundation, but what achievements here, and even extending to the Columbus Children's Foundation, are you most proud of?
Well, really, that's a good question. I tell you a secret because when I came here to Viralgen as an investor, I was going to be here for 3 months. That was the plan that we had. So I'll be here 3 months. I will find a CEO. I will move aside to be an investor, and I will do other things. Well, the 3 months has become 5 years. And I have to say that in hindsight, I never thought it was going to be like this. But if I look back about what I compare that with my whole career, I think this is the best deliverable I have in my whole career. It just came, I would say, from the heart. It came from really making something I really believe that was providing a difference for patients, but at the same time, life gives you sometimes opportunities to do things, and these were one of them. Fortunately, I was able to grab it, but it would have passed by and not been able to take it. But right now, I feel like I'm extremely grateful that I was given this opportunity. So, having said that, if I look back at the learnings, there are 3 things. One is when you begin these things, these projects that are very ambitious, you have to have a vision. You have to have a vision that is aggressive, that is reaching out, but also that is transformative. And very quickly, you need to really start asking yourself why this vision is possible. And in this particular case, 3 things happen here that really make the difference. One is technology, that we were talking about a great technology that was the best of the world, ready to deliver, very well proven, and at the same time that it was available to us with the right expertise from Jud Samulski and his team. The second one is, are you really willing to build a team that is committed around this, a team that is going to be committed to deliver on the vision? And that means ready to do an implementation plan, ready to grow with you along that. And I was very lucky to start recruiting the first 5 people at Viralgen, and today having 350 people who are extremely committed to that. And I think as a reflection, people makes the difference. Again, I know it's almost like a topic, but I can tell you after more than 30 years in this industry, people make the difference for good and for bad. So you need to go into that. And the third element of this is an element of really keeping the patient in the center, because no matter how hard the things are, no matter how difficult things are, some people are having a very difficult life. Some people are having an impossible life, and we are the only hope that they have. So for me, once you have a technology that can change the world and can change the life of many people, you have an obligation. And this is for me the best glue that can bring everything together to make this thing happen. Because when we look at the parents, when we talk to the parents of these kids who are suffering, that have devastating diseases, they are the real heroes of the story. And our respect goes to them. And when we have had time, when we have discussions and things are not working, things are not progressing, I always tell my team, look at the parents. If you don't do this, some people are going to die, are going to lose their hope. And hope is the only thing they have, and we are the hope. So that for me is the biggest reflection, and basically that's what keeps me here. So at the end of the day, this is the place where I feel I can make a better contribution. That's why we created the foundation, we created all the pieces, because this is not about getting an economical return. This is about getting an impact in the world. And I think we are capable of doing that, and we have an obligation to do that.
Yeah, without even asking the question again, I can see what drives you and where your passion lies. It's really inspirational. Thanks for sharing that. Um, as again, we close out, are there any additional key learnings or reflections that you'd like to share with this audience? Something that we didn't cover that you wanted to cover?
No, I think we cover many aspects, and again, I like well, if the audience has some questions, we'll be able to answer those, even live or offline. We can answer those. Happy to do those. But important is we are at a unique time in history of medicine and technology, and we are in one stage of evolution. So we need to make sure that we do our best with this chapter of life that we are living, because we have to deliver to others a better world, a much better technology, and be ready to really help customers in the best way we can.
Well, thank you so much, Javier, for sharing your insights today. The work that Viralgen is doing is incredibly inspiring, and we appreciate the perspective on how CDMOs participate in the advancement of these incredible therapies. We wish you continued success in your journey to broaden access of gene therapies to patients and contribute to the advancement of health and human welfare around the world. Again, thank you.
Thank you, Betty, and thank you for Thermo to invite me to share the story here.
It was our pleasure. So let me switch gears. The next presentation will be focusing on monoclonal antibody early development and critical considerations for commercialization success. So you don't want to miss it. And in closing, thank you all for your time today, and please enjoy the remainder of Bioprocess Next.